Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest news across the northwest.
Hello there. Here are just some of the stories we've got for you this evening.
The mill at the centre of a major police investigation as human remains are discovered after a fire. Tonight there are fears for 4 missing Vietnamese nationals.
The information we have suggests there may be up to 4 people involved. Of course, there may be more than 4 or less than 4. It'd be simply premature to tell.
A body is found in the search for a missing swimmer as emergency services renew their warnings over the dangers of open waters.
20 years ago tonight, we celebrated the opening of our Commonwealth Games. But what was their legacy for the Northwest?
And a bit of a damp, dreary start to the working week. Hopefully things will perk up weather-wise over the next few days. A full forecast is coming up.
Please stay with us for all of that. First, tonight, demolition workers have discovered human remains in what's left of a mill in Oldham more than 2 months after a huge fire at the building.
It's led to fears for 4 Vietnamese nationals and to Greater Manchester Police declaring a major incident. A news conference hasn't long finished at Bismarck House Mill. Our reporter Claire Hannah was there. Claire, what more can you tell us?
Well, in the past hour, Greater Manchester Police have revealed they got a report last Thursday via Vietnam that 4 Vietnamese nationals were missing, and it's thought they could have been involved in a fire. Then on Saturday, demolition workers here found human remains in the rubble of this mill behind me 2.5 months after it was destroyed by a fire. So as you'd imagine here now, extensive searches and investigations are going on at the scene as police try and work out exactly what has happened.
So obviously it's likely to be a lengthy process taking place over the coming days. But so far we've found what we believe are human remains that may be relevant to 1 person. But we're working under the hypothesis that the information we have suggests there may be up to 4 people involved. Of course, there may be more than 4 or less than 4. It'd be simply premature to tell. That will be determined as the process develops.
Now, it was back on the 7th of May. Greater Manchester Fire Service got around 70 calls about this fire. It was absolutely huge. Fire crews spent 4 days here putting the flames out. And at the time, it was thought there was no one inside the building. So these latest developments have come as a real shock, both to the demolition workers and to the fire service.
When firefighters attended the scene, the building was actually locked. So they had to force entry to try and get some water in from the outside. A number of people attended the scene on the night and there was no indication at all about anybody being inside the building.
Now, this evening, screens are being put up around this whole area. Greater Manchester Police say that is for privacy, but also to preserve the dignity of the people who may have died here. They say this is a very complex and sensitive investigation, and they're asking anyone with any information about these Vietnamese nationals or anyone who might know what this building was being used for to get in touch.
Claire in Oldham for us tonight. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, there's more sad news tonight, I'm afraid, and police say a body's been found in the search for a man who vanished while swimming in the River Mersey during the heatwave.
Hayden Griffiths was last seen going into the water at New Brighton last Tuesday. The Coast Guard have confirmed a man's body was found near the pierhead in Liverpool last night. And
it's happened as rescue experts are trying to persuade people to stay out of the water. Zoe Muldoon reports now on what is World Drowning Prevention Day.
Hayden was amazing. He is amazing. He was this big, handsome giant with the kindest heart, and I'm so proud to be his sister, and I'm so proud of what the community have done to help.
A heartbroken sister remembering her little brother. Hayden Griffiths went missing in the River Mersey last week. He'd been trying to swim out to wind turbines when he disappeared. After almost a week of searching, the 23-year-old's body was found last night.
The tide turned and they were getting pulled out to sea. They were struggling to fight against the tide. So we searched. At first I thought maybe I'm too crazy, maybe we should just wait, but I had this determination because Hayden's so strong. I wanted to be strong for him. And he showed up yesterday as if to say, here I am, you can stop looking now, because I would have searched forever. I wouldn't have stopped.
Hayden's death comes as 50 organisations have come together in the UK's largest ever drowning prevention campaign.
Swimmer, grab the light!
Fire crews in Manchester have been at Salford Quays, demonstrating water rescue techniques.
We know we're going to get further hot weather. We know that people are going to be in the water, but we want them to do that safely. Go in designated areas, but jumping in areas such as Salford Quays is a recipe for disaster, and so many people have seen the tragic effects of that.
It's here that just over a week ago, another young life was taken, the cool water proving too tempting on a hot summer's day. North West Emergency Services say there's been an unprecedented number of drownings already this summer, and they're urging us to respect the water, a plea echoed by Megan Griffiths.
Have a tracker on your phone, have a smartwatch with your GPS location. Just be careful for the sake of your families. Like, the stress that this has caused is undescribable. And just think about your family when you're going to go and do something fun for you. The consequences are not fun for others.
The safety warnings may be too late for her brother, but Megan hopes that this tragedy will serve as a painful lesson to others and prevent more young deaths. Zoe Muldoon, ITV News.
Just utterly heartbreaking for Hayden's family, and someone who understands what they're going through is a grieving mum from Lancashire who's campaigned for water safety to be taught in schools and says highlighting drowning prevention is vital if lives are to be saved.
Becky Ramsey's son Dylan died in 2011 after he went swimming in a quarry. She came into the studio earlier and we asked what World Drowning Prevention Day means to her.
Absolutely hugely important. I've been fighting for 11 years since the loss of my son to get more awareness out there, more drowning prevention awareness, more water safety awareness, trying to teach people to respect the water and just not take risks unnecessarily. But I think more could be done. I always think more could be done. As long as we see these needless tragedies, there's always more that could be done. It's that simple, really, you know. People are out there trying to make a difference today, which is absolutely phenomenal. But Drowning Prevention Day for me is every day of the year.
Talk about more being done. It's not on the national curriculum. You've been promised a meeting with government about that. You keep getting told it'll be looked at. Are you convinced it's going to be?
I'm hopeful. I'm not convinced. I'm hopeful that my mouth is big enough to keep making a noise and that they won't be able to ignore me. But yeah, these promises were made to have round the table meetings, and you know, I did my part. I got the 108,000 signatures. The government should do their part and have the meeting with me. You know, I want to save lives. I don't even know why it would be questionable. Why are we still sitting here a year after getting 108,000 signatures?
You want to see more done, don't you, Becky, especially within the school curriculum? I mean, we learn about water safety a little bit at school. Everyone remembers doing the jumping in the pyjamas and going for the break. But is it enough? Are we teaching kids the right things about what they need to know?
Not at all, no. I mean, we're teaching people to swim, so are we giving them a false sense of security? Are we giving them a false sense that they would be all right to swim in open water because they've got the skills to swim? Unless we teach both, then is there any point teaching any? I'm not sure. You know, obviously, learning to swim is a survival skill, and it could save your life or the life of somebody else. But could we do more? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We need to be teaching children about the dangers that are associated with open water, the differences between a swimming pool and open water, because there are so many.
Every single summer we hear about people who have lost their lives going in a quarry, a canal, a river. Your heart must break every single time that happens. How do you cope with that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. If I'm honest, I don't know how I get through one day to the next. Sometimes I just think the campaign's all that holds me together, and I've got to think that, you know, more people are out there taking this risk-taking behaviour, and we're still losing the similar number of people. And I've got to believe that my message is making a difference.
It really brings it all back, doesn't it? Every time this happens.
Every single time. And my heart goes out to all these parents that have lost anyone, because, You know, I wouldn't wish this pain on my worst enemy. When this happens, I go back to the day when we lost Dylan, and I kind of am stuck in the moment. So that night, I'm like, I wonder if the family's been able to see the child yet. The next day, I'm like, I wonder if they've been allowed to go today, or if the post-mortem will be taking place. The next day, I'm thinking, I wonder if that child's been taken to the funeral parlour. The next day, and every day until, for me, it was 10 days till Dylan's funeral, and he was ready. He was ready to go.
Becky, I don't think anyone watching can fail to appreciate how important the message is. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
A very powerful message. Two other stories making the headlines tonight, and United Utilities say they'll compensate people and businesses after a huge mains pipe burst left more than 32,000 properties on Merseyside without water. Dunning's Bridge Road between the M58 and Liverpool was closed both ways over the weekend after parts of it flooded. 120,000 bottles of water were handed out to those cut off.
An investigation's underway after the driver of a car died when it crashed into a house in Liverpool. It left the building in West Derby with serious damage. The man in his 40s died a short time later. Police have appealed for dashcam or CCTV footage.
The Manchester-born actor David Warner has died at the age of 80 from a cancer-related illness. In a career spanning 60 years, he worked in film, television and theatre, but is probably best known for his roles in Star Trek, Titanic and The Omen. His family say he'll be hugely missed.
Yeah, he's one of the all-time great villains.
Amazing actor. Love him in so many things.
Right, here's Mary with details of what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30.
Coming up in the programme, shame for Scottish cricket. A damning report's found hundreds of examples of institutional racism. Those who endured it say future players must not go through the same abuse. What next for the family of 12-year-old Archie Battersby after judges rule doctors can stop his life support? We'll have all the build-up to the Euros semi-final as England prepare to take on Sweden. And it's official, the UK will host Eurovision next year. But where could it take place? Well, do join me for those stories and much more at 6:30.
There's more on the competition for where Eurovision ends up later in the show tonight.
We'll be talking about that in depth later.
In depth.
We will.
Big fans here, big fans. Now, the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer's on a visit to the North West, where he said if he's elected, his priority would be, quote, growth, growth, growth.
Well, in the speech in Liverpool, Sir Keir said he wanted to reboot the economy. Our political correspondent, Leisha McNally, has more.
He spent the day seeing the robot technology of the future. But the Labour leader says the economy needs a helping hand now. And his party's plan is clear.
We need three things: growth, growth, growth.
In Liverpool today, Sir Keir Starmer outlined his party's vision to secure supply chains, boost investment and set up what he called an industrial strategy council. But will a long-term view be enough to win back voters in the North West?
Amid calls for bold intervention or nationalisation, is an industrial strategy council really radical enough?
It really is. What I want to see is growth in our economy. To get that off the ground, you need absolute focus, a real mission, and the Industrial Strategy Council will be the framework for that mission. And that has to be shaped by local people, local community, and ensure that we never again see this stagnation we've seen over the last 12 years.
Growing the economy takes time. People in the North West are struggling right now. Yeah. If you were Prime Minister, what's the first thing you'd do about that?
Oh, we need an emergency budget to deal with the cost of living crisis. We would get rid of the national insurance hike. I've seen houses in the North West insulated to make sure that they are now warm, they don't leak heat and energy, and I've seen beaming people in those houses saying my energy bills are next to nothing. That project could have started a year ago.
If Labour wants to sell itself as the party to trust when it comes to the economy, heartland Merseyside was a pretty safe place for the pitch. But the Conservatives have been making their mark here too. spending millions on levelling up fund bids across transport, high streets and museums.
Would Labour scrap the Levelling Up Fund?
The idea of making sure that wherever you are in the United Kingdom, including in the North West, you get your fair share of growth, of the wealth that's created. That's a good idea.
So would you keep the fund in place?
I don't think the funding model is the right one, because I think that model where you have a pot in London and somebody in Whitehall decides what can happen in the North West, I don't agree with that model. I would like to see that money, that funding, going directly to the areas and letting each area have a proper say.
Labour is not just up against one economic vision, but two. Liz Truss wants to fund tax cuts with borrowing. Rishi Sunak says pulling down inflation has to be the priority.
Whose economic approach will be better for the North West?
I don't think either of them have got an economic approach.
But people look to the opposition for assessment. Are you saying they're really equally bad?
Well, look, you've got, in one corner, you've got Rishi Sunak, who's the architect of the economic problem that we're in. The other corner, you've got Liz Truss, who's, you know, the latest graduate from the Magic Money Trees school. They are the problem. They can't be the solution.
This is the start of a 2-day visit to Merseyside, but a 2-year effort for Keir Starmer, who needs to prove that away from the drama of the Conservative leadership race, he's ready to step up as the country's next Prime Minister. Leisha McNally, ITV News, Liverpool.
Right, still to come tonight.
A night to remember. 20 years on, we look at the legacy of the Commonwealth Games in Manchester.
And some of us were lucky to catch a little bit of sunshine this weekend. It started on a dreary note this week, but it promises to brighten up over the next few days. The forecast is coming up.
OK, hands down, favourite story of the night. The UK will be hosting next year's Eurovision Song Contest. Yes! Which means there will be a renewed rivalry between Manchester and Liverpool.
Yeah, and if you couldn't tell, Rob is particularly excited about the fact this great event could be coming to the North West and one of our great cities, both with an impeccable musical heritage, and are now both in the running to stage the final. Obviously, it can't take place in Ukraine following the Russian invasion. Now, Paul Crone is also extremely excited about this, and he's in Liverpool for us tonight. Crone, what are they saying there?
Yes, good evening, Vicky. Welcome to a very windy pier head in Liverpool. No need to introduce this lot, although I think it's safe to say that if the Fab Four had taken part in Eurovision, this certainly wouldn't end up with nul point. Just to show what a popular musical place this is. Look at this. Good evening, everybody. Got people from Texas, South Africa, Malvern. They all come down here. It's a bit of a mecca. But back to 2022. Oh, here's your Beatles fact. 1965 was the last time that the Beatles appeared live in Liverpool. But Liverpool, one of the many UK cities bidding to host Eurovision next year. It's just become this mega event. It's estimated it could cost up to £2 million to bring the event here to Liverpool. But earlier on, we were out and about on the streets of Liverpool asking people what they thought of Eurovision and it coming to Liverpool.
Liverpool should, because it's the home of music. It's the Mersey beat. It should come here. There's no doubt about it.
I think it'd be brilliant because of the hotels and the sightseeing and the history of Liverpool itself.
And it could host Eurovision, no problem, do you think?
Definitely.
Yes, I can't see why
very
not.
much so, yes. Yes, a good idea. I think it should.
Well, we're just hoping that they don't host the event outdoors because it's just started to rain. I'm joined by Claire McColgan from Liverpool City Council. How seriously do you want Eurovision to come to Liverpool?
Oh, hugely seriously. You know, Liverpool is a big party city. We put on events exceptionally well, and we'd be really honoured to host this on behalf of Ukraine as well, because part of the whole Liverpool kind of psyche is about social justice, it's about caring about other people. So we do things bigger than put on events just in arenas. We put them on our streets, in our schools and in our communities. Really want it.
Why is Eurovision, why is it such an amazing thing? Because it used to be not a brilliant reputation, now it's just so popular.
Oh, it's just such a great party, isn't it? And this is a proper party city. And I think what Eurovision does, it just brings people together from everywhere. It brings people together in a real spirit of joy. And whatever this city does joy really, really well. It does partying really well. And I think
this is true.
Yeah. So I think
does it have the infrastructure? Does it have the hotels, all that sort of stuff?
We're still waiting for the detail to come out yet around what we need for the bid, but obviously we've got an arena, it seats 11,000 people. We have all these incredible spaces. We have a hotel stock, and remember, it's the city region as well, so it's not just the city of Liverpool. We've got the whole of the city region to play with.
Is your thing, Claire, that you can do it different?
Yeah, and we always do things differently, don't we, in Liverpool?
This
but
is
also
true.
I think the really important thing for Liverpool is we can move fast. We have the infrastructure in place, we have the partnership in place to move really quickly to put something on, which is actually quite a short period of time for any city to take on this undertaking.
And at the moment, you're in the as a public poll,
Yes.
you're in the lead at the moment. Let's hope it stays that way for you, yeah?
Oh no, absolutely. But why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you want to come to the UK, the UNESCO City of Music, to put on Eurovision? Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Oh, Claire, thank you very much indeed. Well, good luck to everybody that's taking part. And as far as the people of Liverpool are concerned, I'm sure it's a case of let it be.
20 years ago tonight, you may well have been watching their opening ceremony as Manchester played host to athletes from all around the world.
Well, we've all got great memories of that action back in 2002, but what else did we get out of it?
At a cost of £330 million, it promised a lasting legacy for the city. Chris Hall has been investigating what effect, if any, the Manchester Games are having today.
2 decades since the mass participation in Manchester's precipitation. It's a Games the athletes still carry a torch for.
To be honest, I thought it was the best I was ever going to get and the closest I was going to get to competing in front of a home crowd, and it does make a huge difference. When you walk into the stadium and hear those roars, it was an amazing stepping stone for my career.
I just remember the excitement and the fact that it was my hometown, and I was living in Eccles at the time, and being able to go down to the Manchester Aquatic Centre and live in that village but still be so close to home. I think I actually went home to do my washing.
The friendliness of the city, the community feel, it was just a real buzz, and I think anybody that comes from Manchester always says it's the best city in the world, and I truly believe that.
But even the greatest cities sometimes need a spark.
Underneath us now are miles and miles of mines, coal mines, derelict coal mines, which have been built over.
Given this stadium was the lure for their takeover, Manchester City fans owe this man for building it.
The Commonwealth Games Federation voted to award Manchester the Games in the year 2002.
The winning bid was led by Sir Bob Scott, who twice tried to bring the Olympics to Manchester and still believes the 2012 Games should have been here instead of London.
The legacy of the Commonwealth Games and what would have been the legacy of a Manchester Olympic Games would have dwarfed a few changes to the East End of London, you know. The president of the International Olympic Committee on the opening night of the Commonwealth Games said to me, Bob, now is the moment to make your 3rd bid for the Olympic Games. But it was not to be.
It was the largest Commonwealth Games in history and the first to fully integrate para-athletes into national teams.
Manchester expanded the programme for para-athletes, and that was really significant. It showcased a greater number of different types of disability and impairment groups. And that then went on to enable the London Games to have a platform where the Olympic and Paralympic Games were one sentence.
Costing £330 million, the Games transformed East Manchester for less than half the price of a Millennium Dome. And it's still changing. The Co-op Live Arena will bring more investment than the whole Commonwealth Games cost to stage.
East Manchester is struggling through deindustrialisation, a lack of jobs, a lack of opportunities, derelict factories and housing that needed investment. The Commonwealth Games was able to change all of that, and over the last 20 years in creating over 10,000 new homes, seeing the population double, but also seeing anchors of sporting excellence.
Taxpayers were trepidatious, wary of white elephants. But now they use Games venues side by side with elite athletes, while many sports move their national headquarters to once neglected neighbourhoods like Bellevue Sports Village.
Netball was huge at the Commonwealth Games. I think most games sold out. We turned into Super League 4 or 5 years later. We're filling out Bellevue week in, week out now with 2,000 people. And you look at teams like Australia who are currently here. They use Manchester on a regular basis for their training environment. That 2002 Commonwealth Games, I believe, was probably a real catalyst to where we are today.
Manchester has changed, but the spirit remains of those 10,000 volunteers who set the standard for London 2012.
You still see them around with these, well, frankly, vile anorak things they had on, but they're really proud of them. That instilling of pride again in the city was key to this.
Manchester tour guide Jonathan Schofield saw a boom in tourism after 2002, but also noticed a cultural shift.
It's not just the fact we're getting visitors, it's the fact that the city itself feels better about its centre. That sense of we can live back up to our reputation of go-getters, of doing rather than just saying we're going to do. That was cemented by the success of the Commonwealth Games.
Do you think it's about time that Manchester bid again for the Olympics and the Paralympics?
My head says, yeah, maybe. My heart says definitely yes.
We're known to be a city about sport, about music, about community, and to see the Olympics in Manchester would be immense.
It'll be many years, but please God, when Britain is given the Games again, then it must be Manchester. It has to be Manchester.
20 years on, it seems these Golden Games were worth more than medals. Chris Hall, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, fingers crossed, eh? Here's Joe with the weather.
Mom, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. A rather breezy, cloudy day today, and there continues to be spells of showery rain as we head into this evening. High pressure is building in from tomorrow, giving us a little more in the way of quiet weather for a couple of days with the odd shower. Some sunshine to look forward to. Temperatures are around average or thereabouts for the time of year, so not especially warm given it's the summer. High pressure is building in, and that means a quiet couple of days. It's a fairly short-lived affair that will ease away out to the east, and then one or two showers could crop up during Thursday and Friday before things look a little more unsettled perhaps this weekend. Other than that, lots of quiet weather ahead, and tonight it won't be chilly. There'll be further showers feeding through on that northwesterly as we go through this evening and overnight, continuing on and off throughout the early hours of tomorrow morning. One or two breaks in the cloud, perhaps 10 or 11 Celsius, the overnight low, and that breeze still rattling round, especially up on higher ground and along the coast as we roll into Tuesday. On to tomorrow, the sun will be up at 5:15, setting at 9:19 tomorrow evening. For tomorrow, perhaps a sunny start where you are. A little rash of showers around during the middle part of the morning, which will ease off. And most of any showers will tend to become confined to the Pennines, the Peak District as we go through the day tomorrow, brightening up and drying up further west with some nice spells of sunshine. And temperatures could get to around 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. We still have that northwesterly breeze, so not incredibly warm, but not bad in the sunshine. Looking ahead, Wednesday should be a dry day, if a little cloudy, up to 21 Celsius. And then the small risk of one or two showers during Thursday and Friday, but some sunshine in the mix and perhaps a top temperature of 22 degrees to end the working week.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
Grass pollen season is really at a close. However, there's a little bit of weed and a few fungal spores around. Levels could reach moderate over the next few days. Hopefully, you won't be affected too badly. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Joe. Favourite ever Eurovision winner?
Ooh, winner? Oh, winner. Well, Spaceman was good last year. Lena's Satellite years ago. I'm a Eurovision nerd.
Making your mind up all the way.
Oh, good choice. Bye-bye.